Now, like I was saying at the end of part one, I know I shouldn't have it in two parts, but this is, like I said, I'm just telling you this from experience. The truth is, they'll have you rushed out there. But it might be a lot later than you think when they have you rushed out there. You know why? Because, as I said, January through July, you may think it's smooth sailing. In August and September, you may think it's a little rocky. Now, what I mean by smooth sailing through January through July is you may get one truck a day, maybe two trucks a day, and that's it. And sometimes the inventory may be from 2,500 for just one truck a day to maybe 1,000 each on both trucks, if it's two. No big deal. And believe me, it is no big deal, because it really doesn't take that long to unload and put into certain areas. However, when you get towards August and September, that's when things you start to get that hint that you're going to be in that probably the next couple of months are going to be a lot more busier than you think, because when you get to August and September, you start to get more trucks in. You start to get 3 trucks almost a day. 2 to 3 trucks a day. That's it. Not 1 or 2, it's 2 to 3. Now, if you're lucky enough your store might have a computer that allows you to find out exactly how much you're going to get in the next day so that you can prepare yourself. You can go home, eat your dinner, get the rest, you can take a shower, watch TV, and then get the rest you need to come in the next day and start, start going for it, you know what I mean? Because believe me, I've had to do that many times. I've had to do that many times in my job. And it's not easy. It's not easy sometimes. Even when you're well rested, it's not easy. But anyway, basically, what you're going to be going through is a lot in these months that I talked about, which I call the months of hell. The 2.5 months or 3 months of hell is basically hinted at you towards August and September when it gets really rocky. Because when finally you enter those 2.5 to 3 months of hell, October through December, you're basically getting 2 to 4 trucks a day. Now sometimes the 2 extra trucks may be grocery. That's no problem. That's no big deal. But majority of the time, the 4 trucks, if you get 4 trucks, is general merchandise. And that's all for the Christmas season. That's all for the extra electronics, extra clothing, all that needs to be sold to people, the customers, for the season. Now, I'm not sure if I mentioned this in part 4. In part 1. I'm sorry. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in part 1. But again, if I have, let me repeat myself. To anybody that loves overtime, to anybody that loves that extra moolah they get when they say, okay, you're going to have to stay an extra couple of hours, this is heaven on earth for you. Because you're like, oh yeah, that extra moolah. I know of one person I worked with, and she worked in the unloading area a lot longer than I have. And she enjoyed any time a manager would come up and say, okay guys, you got overtime, you got to stay a lot longer. She'd be like, all right, extra moolah, get her done kind of deal. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm just saying to anybody that's new to inventory and unloading, I'm just letting you know what to expect, because what I'm saying is true. January through July is smooth sailing. I'll tell you that from experience, smooth sailing. But as soon as you get into August and September and it gets a little rocky, that's when you start getting a hint that as you're entering the holiday season, things are going to be a hell of a lot harder and you're going to be told to get a hell of a lot more done at a hell of a lot faster pace. Why? Well, because as I mentioned in part 1 and at the beginning of this video, they're going to want you to get everything done so they can rush you out to the floor to help in stocking, bagging, or if you got experience, cashiering. Why? Because they need the help. Because if you think as an unloader and as an inventory person, you're busy, you think it's hell on earth, you think this is the 2.5, you think October through December is the 2.5 months of hell for you, then you're wrong. Because the 2.5 to 3 months of hell, October through December, is hell on earth sometimes for the cashiers, the baggers, and the stockers. I mean, take a look at the cashiers. The cashiers sometimes have, if somebody asks for money back, because maybe let's say they want to give money for Christmas, the cashiers basically got to give money and money and money, and then all of a sudden when they run out and they got a whole line of people, they're going to go like, manager to check out for, manager to cashier for, or whatever. You know, they got to do that. They got to do that time after time after time, almost day after day after day. And you don't think it's hell on earth for them? I mean, just like an unloader and an inventory person, they are just praying to God that this day comes to an end so they can go home and rest. And if they got a day off the next day, they pray to God it comes to an end real quickly so they can go home and disconnect their phone and say, I ain't answering this. No way. No way. You know, that's how sometimes they feel. I mean, I'll admit that's sometimes how I felt, but I never really did it that much. When they needed me, I went. I know it's hard to believe, I went. I did my job. I did my job. But that's how a lot of people feel. And if you think for one instant that it's just, you know, retail people and people that work in the warehouse area of the retail, then you're wrong. Because there's a lot of other businesses that experience the 2.5 to 3 months of hell. I'll give you an example. And I know it sounds a little crazy, but try cable companies. There's a lot of cable companies that have the operators or the customer service representatives, you know, on the phone constantly in these next 2.5 to 3 months, or next 3 months, I should say, because people want to order these packages. They want to order these digital boxes, but they want to set out a specific time for those boxes and packages to be delivered because of the holiday season. I mean, let's say, for example, you know, you got a digital cable box, and you got a certain package, but you've promised your family member you'll get them a digital box, and you'll get them the same package, but with an additional package. Get what I'm saying? Get what I'm saying? I mean, basically, customer service representatives at cable companies, their phones are going to be ringing off the hook constantly during the next 3 months because of that. And then the people that install the boxes, that come out and install the digital boxes, you're going to see a lot more of those going back and forth, you know, on the highways, on the streets, name it. I mean, it's just going to be unbelievable. And if you think that's bad, excuse me for a second, let me check my time. Okay, I still got a little time. But like I say, if you think that's bad, then check out grocery people. I used to work in a supermarket, Food for Less, before that store went out of business. And I can tell you this. The holiday season also means 2.5 to 3 months of hell for supermarkets. Why? Because they basically have to stock up on groceries, so on all sorts of groceries, from turkeys to canned yams to soda to punch to beer, you name it. And as soon as they're all stocked up on that, you know, they have to stock up again, just like in retail, because people will constantly be buying them out. I can tell you this. In the final months of that Food for Less store I worked at, were the busiest months that store has ever seen. Probably busy enough to try to keep it alive, but it didn't. But it was the busiest month they've ever had. But anyway, again, I thought I'd just kind of get that off my mind here in episode 4 of Topics on My Mind. And that is basically why Halloween in November 1st, mainly Halloween, is the prelude, the head start to the holiday season, shopping and retail-wise, customer, employee-wise. And that's all I have to say. God bless. Take care.